Hey, this is Sharon and Juna. Welcome to Crazy Biatch Asians, the YouTube channel. The following audio was recorded for podcast purposes, so there are no visuals for this YouTube video.
Feel free to put down that phone, go for a walk, cook some food and listen to us chatter for the next little while.
If for some reason you don't want to listen on the YouTube platform, you can find us on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. Now, on to the ep. Hey, welcome to Crazy Biatch Asians. This is a podcast where we discuss the issues Asians can face in the Western world with a critical mind, a bit of healthy debate, and lots of tea. Hosted by Sydney-based digital marketer Sharon Jiang and journalist Juna Zhu.
Hey! On today's episode, we're spilling the tea on inappropriate questions and statements. If you're ethnically Asian but were born or raised in a Western country, you would know exactly what we're talking about. It's these uneducated remarks and even insensitive or racist questions, which a lot of people think is still okay to ask or say in our day and age. So, let's kick things off. We are super lucky here in Sydney because life is pretty much back to normal and restrictions are eased and we're able to go out and party and have fun and dance and the lot. So over the few weeks, Shaz, you and I have kind of taken advantage of this and hit the town on Friday nights because if COVID taught us anything, it was that we need to put aside our inner grammars and take advantage of our 20s. We really just need to live life a little.
Totally.
But this is also doubled as podcast research, going to bars and all, because we forgot how many people come at us with the same inappropriate questions and statements over and over and over again.
Exactly. And that's what prompted us to dedicate an entire episode to this. So today, we're discussing all the inappropriate questions, some borderline racist, and some that's just plain uncomfortable or irrelevant. And they're often referred to as microaggressions that people make in both everyday scenarios and, of course, in the dating scene. It's really surprising that in a country as multicultural as Australia, with many second and even third gen immigrant families, people are still quite uneducated when it comes to this topic. Okay, so before we dive into these inappropriate questions and comments, context does play a huge role in whether it's deemed inappropriate and how far up the scale it ranks. So it's important to take into consideration the setting, the person's age, nationality, and so forth.
Yes. On that note, our first inappropriate question. Where are you from? It's where are you from or derivatives of this. Like, where are you originally from or where are you really from?
Yeah,
etc.
exactly.
etc. Like, if I wanted to get scientific about this, then one man and one woman decided to get intimate one day and, that's where I came from. And if we're talking about evolution, then that's a whole other story. The worst, though, is when someone follows the question with Korea or China, like where they're trying to guess where you're from.
Yeah.
And I guess you're probably curious as to why I said Australia since I have Asian features, but it does not mean that if you have Asian features, then you're not allowed to be born or raised in a Western country.
Totally. And I agree with you in that the guessing part is the worst because it's only a fun game for one person.
Yes.
Them. Like, it's not typically fun for you unless you instigated the game. I find with this question, one of the variants is like, where are you really from?
Where are you really from?
Like, the conversation goes, where are you from? Oh, I'm from Australia. No. Where are you really from? Like, really stresses that word. Why do people do that?
I don't know.
The idea of citizenship is quite well understood.
Yeah.
Like, if I'm an Australian citizen, I'm from
Australia.
Australia. If you're born in Australia, you're from Australia.
It's like you literally need to whip out your passport to everyone
Exactly.
to say that you are from Australia.
Exactly. I feel like we've gotten a lot of this in bars. We go out together as like two, young Asian girls, and I can understand the optics in that we go as two Asian girls.
Yes.
So it looks like we're from overseas.
Yes.
And the most ironic part of this is if we add a non-Asian to the mix, like a European or like a white Australian, we don't get that.
You are so right.
Right? Like if we hang out with like our Aussie blonde friends, we don't get asked that question because by association, people assume that you're Australian.
Yeah.
But when we go out together, people are like, where are you from? China, Korea, overseas, Singapore? It happens all the time, doesn't it?
It does happen all the damn time. Okay, so context examples where this is inappropriate or even appropriate. So I would say it would be appropriate if, say, for instance, you spot someone wearing something from your culture and you can relate to that specific item and it brings back memories for you. So it's like you go up to them and you say, where are you from? Are you from XXX?
Yeah, definitely. I can personally give some leniency to someone who is of an older generation.
Oh, yes.
And who perhaps live in a smaller city. So I got the question asked to me when I was in Europe and in this small German town. And I became friends with this older German lady. And she was actually very curious as to, oh, where are you from?
She genuinely meant it.
Exactly.
Yes.
Because she kind of meant it as in, our city doesn't see a lot of international people. What are you doing here? Welcome. Like, where are you from? And I felt that was okay to me. Like, it was just a genuine question.
Yeah.
But
Good
inappropriate.
point. Oh.
What do you think?
Okay, if it's someone trying to flirt with you in a dating scene. However, I think it's okay if you've been chatting for quite a while and they don't seem too obsessed with Asians or Asia and their question sounds sincere, then that's totally fine.
So you're basically saying if someone is trying to talk to you in a dating context, if that's not their first question, it's somewhat appropriate.
Yeah,
like you're talking about your childhood and they ask that just to get to know you. Okay, I understand.
But then you could rephrase it another way.
Exactly.
What to ask instead?
The best way to reframe this question is, what's your cultural background or heritage?
Yeah, keywords.
Exactly. Cultural background, cultural heritage. I think that's totally fine. The second one on the list. Can you speak English? Okay, your thoughts on that, please.
Okay, well... Please don't just assume every person who has Asian features can't speak English. Like, I have a career based on the English language.
Totally. Juno is a journalist, if you don't know.
Well,
she's worked at big media companies.
I don't know if I'm a very good journalist, but yes, I can speak English.
No, she's a very good journalist.
And the sad thing is, I don't speak any other language, so...
So English is your first and main language.
Yes.
So it's especially biting to you when someone says that to you.
Yeah.
And I feel like the irony is a lot of Asians actually top the English HSC
Oh my God,
ATAR
you're so
scores.
right.
Like if we look, so okay, if you're not from New South Wales, ATAR is like the high school score you get to get into university.
Like an IB.
The irony is lots of Asians top that. People get really good grades in English.
There's no denying that fact.
Exactly.
There are stats to support this.
Exactly. Okay, so give me some examples where it's inappropriate or appropriate.
I feel like tone really influences this a lot. So, for example, if you say it in a tone that's mocking or in disbelief, then it's going to come off as more offensive. Like, can you speak English?
Oh my God, that tone really just hit me.
But I think it's appropriate if you can say it in a really supportive tone. I'm so sorry, I don't want to offend you, but do you speak English?
Yeah, okay. I'm going to add to that,
Yes,
and I feel
please.
like context does play a part. Okay, I'm going to paint a picture. You're in the train station, some guy's come up to you and he wants to ask for directions and he doesn't quite know where to take it. So he goes, I'm so sorry, I just want to ask, do you speak English? I want to get some directions. etc. I think that, context plays into it.
Okay, so what should you ask instead?
I feel like you should just start speaking English.
Yes.
And if they tell you to stop and they say, I'm sorry, I don't speak English. I mean, if they don't speak English, I'm not going to tell you that sentence.
Yes.
But, you can tell by their facial expression, then you have your answer.
Without even needing to ask the question.
Exactly. Simple.
Okay, next one. Oh, this irks me so much.
I know, I hate this one. All right.
Ni hao.
Oh, far out. And out of context, ni hao is not like, it's not an offensive thing at all. It's just hello in Chinese. But let us explain.
Okay, so Shaz, you and I have discussed this in great depth. We asked each other this question. Where have we traveled that we encountered this the most? My answer was France, specifically Paris.
Yes.
So when I was traveling through Paris with my brother and mum, if I had a penny for every time someone standing outside a building would just yell at me, ni hao, assuming that I'm just Chinese because I have black hair.
Totally. I agree with that as well. It's actually happened to me in France. My answer is exactly the same as you. I think this one is especially problematic because the word itself is not offensive, like we just said.
Definitely not.
But it's the fact that they're assuming every single Asian is from China.
Yes.
And that is not the case.
No.
And it really doesn't take into consideration that many Asian countries aren't actually chummy with each other.
Yes.
So a lot of Asian countries have bad blood, have bad history.
Oh, you're so right.
And it really just paints Asia as this one big China block where there's a lot of, political tensions between a lot of countries. For example, this happened to my friend in France. She's Vietnamese. She got this so much where guys in like a flirting dating context, in like a club, would just be like, ni hao. And I'm literally like, she's Vietnamese. Like, stop it. She's not even from that country. Like, just stop.
Exactly that. So if you want a geography lesson, the Asian continent is commonly divided into 6 geographic subregions that are characterized by perceivable commonalities like culture, religion, language, and relative ethnic homogeneity. So these regions are Central Asia, East Asia, North Asia, South Asia, Southeast Asia, and West Asia. And within each of these regions are an abundance of different languages and dialects.
Totally.
So saying ni hao to every person who has a few Asian features is generalizing the entire continent to being from China in East Asia.
Totally. And actually, to add to this section, I feel like a variant of this is konnichiwa.
Oh, konnichiwa.
Yeah, I've had this said to me so many times, and it's like, mate, brief history lesson. Politically, Japan and China do not get along.
No.
And for people to be so ignorant, you just look stupid.
Yeah.
It really is, you look dumb. So stop it.
So, context examples where it's inappropriate or appropriate.
Number 1, if you're actually in that country and you're trying to communicate with the locals in a respectful manner. If you're in China and you say ni hao, makes total sense.
Yeah, exactly. If you're actually Chinese and you're at a Chinese restaurant, for example, and the waiter greets you with ni hao, that's totally fine.
I mean, I feel like even if you're a Westerner, you can totally do it.
Yeah.
If you're in a Chinese restaurant and you're greeting the person, they greeted you, you say ni hao back, brilliant.
So another one is if your non-Chinese friends are learning Chinese and they like to say ni hao to you to improve their language skills and start a conversation, that's totally fine.
Exactly. Again, context plays a huge role.
Yes.
What to say instead?
I just think you should never assume and just stick with hello.
Let's stick to English as it's the international business language.
Yes.
And like what we said before, if they don't speak English, they'll let you know.
Case closed.
Case closed, exactly.
So next one, Shaz.
The next one is insert name, your real name. Do you know this one really
this one pains
Yes.
me. This one really pains me. Okay. So I think this can go 2 ways. So either your Asian parents gave you a really westernized name like Sharon as a way to assimilate into Western society easier and not have to correct people with spelling or pronunciation.
Totally.
However, many people believe that an Asian's name is not really their legal name. Or you can be on the other side and have an Asian name and people ask you what your English version is.
Yes.
maybe there is no English version and my name is just a name. And you just have to learn to accept that just like you would accept a James or a Jessica, that person's name has no other translation.
Yeah, I understand.
And this has happened to me a few times. And to be honest, I don't even think my name is that Asian.
No, I don't think your name is that difficult. Juna. It's not that hard.
It's not that hard. Have you experienced the other side of this?
You know what? It's funny. I don't think I've ever experienced this personally. No one has ever asked me whether Sharon is my real name or not. So I actually can't relate to this one. Yeah. We actually dive into this issue of how having an Asian name can put you at a disadvantage in a previous episode. So check it out if you want to hear more, because Juna is very passionate about this issue.
It's funny.
Yes,
like,
it is funny.
You
But
get a laugh
rightfully
out
so,
of it.
Rightfully so, because people get your name wrong so often, whereas people never get my name wrong. Context examples where it's inappropriate or appropriate. Go.
Okay, well, in a job interview, when they're asking if your English name is your legal name, that's part of the job process.
Yes,
so totally understand that.
I feel like if they know your cultural background, like if you've got a friend or you're dating someone and they ask, do you have a insert culture name? So for example, people have asked me, do you have a Chinese name? I think that's totally fine. They're getting to know you, they want to know your, you know, your background, your story, and you say, yes, I do. This is my Chinese name. This is different to my English name. So what to ask instead?
Okay, just don't ask someone, is XX your real name? Or if they have a unique name and you're genuinely interested, you can give them a nice compliment about their name and ask what it means or where it's from. Say something like, oh, I love your name. It's so unique.
Yes.
Does it mean something?
Why did your parents choose this name? What's the story? I love that.
Okay, next one. Have you ever eaten dogs?
Oh, I just don't even want to go into
this.
This really pisses
This is a real
me
doozy
off.
one.
We've actually talked about this in one of our past episodes, the one about Asian food, you know, why so many Asian foods is considered gross. And I honestly hate this so much. Eating dogs is actually quite a rare thing in Asia. So unfortunately, due to sheer ignorance and the way media skews this, many Westerners think it's quite a common thing.
Yeah.
So that's why it's quite offensive, because it's not even common in Asia.
Again, it's ignorance.
Exactly. What do you think?
Like, do you go around to every French person asking, do you eat frogs? Or Scottish people if they eat sheep intestines? Like, food cultures are different around the world, and making people feel weird about that is just plain rude.
Exactly. And like, way to take a food that is so rarely eaten, apart from like the Yulin Dog Festival, and to place every single Asian under this umbrella. It's like, what the hell? Exactly what you said, you know.
And I think like you shouldn't judge someone else's diet if you're eating, say, cows or seafood.
Exactly. All right, I want to get your thoughts. Context examples where it's inappropriate or appropriate.
Never ask this. It's just never appropriate. Unless you are traveling in China and a local asks you if you've tried it.
Okay, so you're not instigating the conversation.
No.
You are answering someone's question. Got it. What to ask instead, Juna?
Okay, I think if you're non-Asian and you know the person you are asking comes from a culture where a specific food is part of their diet, you could say something along the lines of, I heard your culture eats insert food, which is fascinating as I've never had the opportunity to try it and would love to know more about it. Have you tried it? What are your thoughts?
Yeah, okay. So you frame it as more of a conversational thing rather than like an aggressive, have you eaten dogs? Do you eat dogs type of way. I feel like I want to preface in this part of the conversation that we do not actually condone the festival. And I feel like if you want to spark a conversation about the festival itself and talk about it in a critical way, as in commenting on the cruelty and stuff like that, you can absolutely have a conversation about this. In all honesty, the Chinese government actually oppose the festival and are trying to get it shut down. So if you want to speak about it in an educated manner, go for gold. But it's the aggressive, like, and really offensive, do you eat dogs? Again, the tone and the context. All right, so the next one, I feel like we both got this in school. Are you good at maths / can you help me with my maths homework? Discuss.
It's a compliment.
True.
So Asians have this reputation that we're all intelligent when it comes to crunching numbers. And this can be down to strict work ethic ingrained into our culture and the fact that majority of us spent our weekends at a beautiful place called tutoring school. But it surely doesn't mean that every single one of us is really good at maths or good with numbers.
Totally.
Because I can tell you that as soon as I put down that pen in my year 12 maths exam, all those beautiful numbers and everything that I had absorbed over the past how many years exited my brain.
Totally. And to add on from that, I'm going to tell you guys a bit of a secret. I didn't even do maths in high school. I dropped it in year 10 for, guess what? 4-unit English.
Oh my God.
2-unit history, 2-unit drama, and 2-unit economics.
Wait, so do you speak English?
Exactly. Do I speak English? I wrote a play that was horrific.
Girl, I did too. So that is never going to resurface anywhere.
And you know what's ironic? We both went into a Bachelor of Communications in journalism. Nothing to do with maths.
No.
I feel like with this question, I wouldn't actually be personally
No,
offended.
I neither.
I actually would just take it as a compliment because I am bad at maths. So thank you for assuming that I'm good at maths. But unfortunately, I can't help you there.
Or we can help you, but don't expect to have great outcomes from this.
Exactly. I will probably give you the wrong answer. But again, just to reiterate, I think it does depend on the tone. If someone is doing it in like a mockingly negative manner, then it's just rude. It may not be, racist. You're being a craphead.
Yes. That's it.
But if it's just like bants between friends or generally in like a banter tone, then whatever. There are worse things. Like, ni hao.
Okay, next one. Oh, okay. Shaz's favorite one.
No.
You're exotic.
Oh, no. You even did like a disgusting voice for that, like a slimy, disgusting, like I just want to take a shower kind of voice. Okay, we don't need to go into depth into this one because we've said it once and we'll say it again. The word exotic is just cringe.
Please delete it from your vocabulary.
I know, like it gives me secondhand embarrassment because what does it even mean? We are in the 21st century. This kind of language is irrelevant. It might be relevant in like, I don't know, the 11th century where really globalization hasn't really happened. But yes, we are a globalized world. So there's no real such thing as exotic. And
Goosebumps.
And Asians are in the billions. So population-wise, we're not a minority and we're not exotic.
End scene.
Exactly. End scene, thank you. Well, if you want, you can actually listen to our Asian fetish episodes 1 and 4 if you want more exotic chats.
I'm gonna go puke now. Literally. Okay, we've actually got plenty more inappropriate questions and statements, which we're actually going to cover in part 2 of this.
Exactly.
We're open to comments, microaggressions, and anything under this umbrella. So if you have any that you'd like us to chat about, please just DM us. It's now time for CBA College. Woo-hoo. Yes, we took a little hiatus from our tutoring segment for a few episodes, but we're back. So if you're new here, don't worry. We're not going to keep you here for hours lecturing you about geometry and calculus. Instead, both of us will be sharing our most interesting fact of the week. So you actually walk away from this podcast having learnt something.
I love that.
So Shaz, hit me with your interesting fact.
Okay, so in an effort to expand everybody's knowledge about Asia and not it just being about China, Japan, and Korea, we are traveling to Central Asia today for my fun fact of the week. So, I'm sure we've all heard of popular ball sports like football, rugby, basketball, even polo. But in Central Asia, there is a popular sport kind of like polo on horseback, but the ball is replaced by the decapitated carcass of a goat.
I'm sorry, repeat that?
Yes, let me explain. So the sport is called Buskashi and is played in countries such as Afghanistan, Kazakhstan, Kyrgyzstan, and Tajikistan. So let me paint a picture. Men are on horseback, wearing quite heavy clothing and head protection, and it's supposedly very intense and competitive. And the goal is to get this carcass sort of across into each other's goal. So just imagine like polo, but replace the ball with a carcass. I won't get into the details of the rules and the sport because it's actually quite complex and there's a lot of different variations from region to region. So if you want to find out the real specifics of the sport, you can just Google it. But what I found really interesting is the ball. So apparently the calf in the game is normally beheaded and disemboweled and has 2 limbs cut off. It is then soaked in cold water for 24 hours to toughen it, and sometimes sand is even packed into the carcass to give it extra weight.
Oh my god.
I know. I've never heard of this before, but interesting.
Interesting.
Okay, now your turn.
Okay, mine's not even gross, but I thought it was going to play into the whole theme of inappropriate questions and answers.
I love that.
But mine is inappropriate gestures.
Oh my god.
Okay, I'm going to ask you a question, Shaz. What do you associate with crossing your fingers?
Fingers crossed as in good luck, like I'm nervous about
Exactly.
something, that sort of thing.
Okay. In Vietnam, however, this is an obscene gesture, especially when done while looking at or addressing another person. The crossed fingers are said to resemble female genitals. So never cross your fingers.
How does it look like female genitals?
Okay, so another one. What do you associate with thumbs up?
Oh, good. Like good, yeah,
Okay.
good.
So in Thailand, do not do this because it's a sign of condemnation. It's typically a child's gesture and the Thai equivalent of sticking out your tongue.
Oh,
Yes. Okay, what does this mean when I curl my fingers at you? Like
come here.
beckoning.
Yeah.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
So in the Philippines, this gesture is only used for dogs. So to use it with a person is derogatory.
Oh my
And
goodness.
suggesting that you see them as a subservient inferior.
Oh my
Yeah.
goodness.
Okay, last one.
Okay.
Okay, so when you're giving something to someone, you just put it on one hand, yes?
Yeah, exactly.
So you're giving it. Okay,
Yes.
in Japan, do not do this. So you got to do it with both hands. And if someone is giving someone a business card or hands them a camera to take a photo, be sure to pass it on with both hands. And this shows that you are fully attentive and sincere in the offering. One hand just means insincerity. So
Oh my god.
there's a little lesson for ya.
Here I was just thinking like the gesture of pointing was rude.
Exactly.
You know? But there's so many different variations.
It's not just the middle finger.
What about putting
The pinky. I
Yeah,
don't know.
the pinky.
Isn't it like here it's...
small?
Oh, I'm
Pinky.
thinking of the driving ad where it's
Yeah.
like slow
It
down.
means, oh my god, Juna, you have been reading that ad wrong for so many years. Okay, we need to address this because oh my god. So what we've just done is, you know, when people curl their 4 fingers and then they put a pinky finger up and they shimmy it at you, it means you have a small pee-pee. And Juno was just like, what about that speeding ad? Doesn't it mean for you to slow down? No, the point of that speeding ad is if you speed, you have a small willy, and women are going to think you have a small willy. Oh my god!
I'm just gonna hide in my hole.
Oh my god!
I did not know this.
That was the whole point of the ad.
Well, you know what? It was not tailored to me, okay? I don't understand
Holy
these things.
Jesus. Oh my god, we have just stumbled across the best realization. This was not in the script. That's why that speeding ad was so effective.
Oh my God, I did
because
not know.
women would be like, oh, so he's got a small package. And obviously men would be like, oh no, I don't want to speed. And she thinks I have a small package.
I genuinely thought it was slow down.
Oh my god, now I'm like doubting myself. Maybe it is. Maybe I just have a dirty mind, but I swear that's the message.
Oh my god, stop! Dealing,
Let's go to music break, guys.
Shaz, out of all the inappropriate things people could say, which we've covered here, which one is at the top of your list?
I think you know.
Yeah, I
the
think
bloody ni hao one.
So, note to everyone, do not approach a show with ni hao.
Exactly. Unless it's in those aforementioned
Yes.
contexts. What about you?
Ni hao, but since you've said that already, my other one is, where are you really from?
Oh, yes. The stress on the
Really? Yeah.
So, if you guys have any inappropriate questions or statements that we didn't cover, any microaggressions that you guys have experienced yourself, please let us know. These are just some that we've encountered quite frequently, but we've got a ton coming up. So stay tuned for part 2 in season 2.
Yes. And if you'd love to hear more from us, please subscribe to Crazy Biatch Asians on your favorite podcast app. And if you've got a sec, please rate and review us on Apple Podcasts so we can keep going.
And if you like watching your podcast, you can find us on YouTube under the same name. And if you want a daily dose of the best Asian memes, then just head to our Instagram at Crazy Biatch Asians.
Woohoo!
And lastly, if you want to support us with monthly donations, head to our Patreon page and that'll all be linked below.
And on that note, chat soon, gang. Bye.